So you want people on YouTube to just see us doing a selfie, and you need to put the camera in selfie mode in order for it to work. You realize that, right?
I wanted to see the
WCBE. You know, people are literally... We've lost half our audience.
No,
we've lost half our audience.
We didn't. They like selfies. That's what the kids do.
They don't like people doing selfies. We're going to start the show.
They really... Yeah.
Yeah, this is bad.
All right. It's going to be good.
It's bad.
Already?
Yeah, so when I hit one of these buttons, okay, that means...
Stop clearing my throat?
Yeah. Are you okay? Are you
I think
ready?
so.
Right.
I think I'm ready.
Live from Earth, it's Space Radio. This is Paul Sutter, and coming up, we're talking about a winter skywatching guide, and it's a very special edition where I have my good friend, maybe that's a little bit stretching it, but my acquaintance, Mr. Michael Solomon, here with me to do a very special edition of Space Radio. We will not be taking listener questions today because we're pre-recording this, but that's okay because you can still enjoy the fun. We record every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Call 888-581-0708 to join the conversation. In today's Blue Shift, I have a very special game we're going to play. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. But first, the news. That's NPR news, by the way. It's a little 3-minute block where they talk about tragedy and human suffering.
All right.
And then they come back.
I'm a fan
Of tragedy and human suffering. Hello, space fans. Welcome to Space Radio. I'm Paul Sutter, astrophysicist at Ohio State's chief scientist at COSI. And for the next half hour, your agent of the stars. We've got an exciting show for you today on Space Radio where we talk about all things space, astronomy, astrophysics, rocketry, and science. If it's above the Earth's atmosphere or if it's in it, it's in this show's universe. This show lives on listener questions. We record every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern here in Studio A of WCBE Radio Columbus. So call 888-581-0708. Light it up. Get those calls in. You can also follow along on our live streams on YouTube and Facebook. Check out spaceradioshow.com for the links. We'll take questions that you send there too. And by we, I mean me. Seriously, folks, I've only prepped 10 minutes of show material tops. Get those calls in. Before I start taking calls, or actually because this is a very special edition, before I start talking to my kind of friend, Mr. Michael Solomon, I wanted to share some interesting bits of news I caught recently, and especially I thought it'd be a good time to take a little break from the news, go outside on a clear, dark night. I know it's freezing cold for a good chunk of you, but it's worth it. Wait for that clear night because cold skies are clear skies, and you can go up and see some beautiful winter constellations. One of my favorite constellations, one of my top 3, I would say, is the constellation Orion. The classic, iconic, giant constellation. It fills up so much of the sky. You can see it in the southeastern sky over the course of the winter, and if you can tell it apart by its distinctive 3 stars that form the belt of the Orion. I think he's a hunter. I'm not exactly sure what mythical creature or story he's from. I just know the signs in the constellation. Go figure. There's 3 stars that make up his belt. There's 2 big stars that really stand out. One is on the bottom right of the belt. It's called Rigel. It's a nice whitish, bluish star. It's actually a blue supergiant star, a few hundred light years away from Earth. Just a gigantic, gigantic star. And the other star of note is in the upper left, the shoulder of the constellation Orion. And that shoulder is named Betelgeuse. Yet not Beetlejuice as in the movie, as in the name you can't say 3 times. Betelgeuse, I think, is the more accurate pronunciation. It's an Arabic name. Now, I've heard various translations of this name. I've always thought it was armpit. Betelgeuse means armpit, which makes sense, but it might just mean shoulder, which is way less funny. So on Space Radio, the official translation of the Arabic word Betelgeuse is going to be armpit. And because that's just how it works. And I can define my own conventions and take that, International Astronomical Union. You can't tell me what to do. You're not my boss. Maybe you are. But we'll talk later. We'll just talk. I'll bring it up at the next meeting. Betelgeuse is a red giant star. It is online to go supernova any day now. It is a dying star. It is almost dead. It is predicted it is going to blow up sometime in the next million years, which is like the next week, astronomically speaking. And when it goes, it's going to be incredibly bright. It will be visible during the day. It will not harm us here on the Earth, don't worry, but it will be so bright that it will be visible during the day. So it could be tomorrow. It could have already happened, and the light just hasn't reached us yet because it's a few hundred light years away. Or it could happen a million years from now. Basically, any day now, the upper left shoulder of Orion is going to go nuts. And then it will go away. And then Orion is not going to have a shoulder anymore, and maybe we'll have to rename it because it will look different. Very quickly, also in the constellation Orion, if you go look down from the belt, there's a series of 3 stars. One of those stars looks fuzzier than the others. Turns out that's not a star. That is actually a nebula, the Orion Nebula, a star-forming factory. If you look at it through even binoculars, you'll be able to pick out a little fuzzy patch. And with more powerful telescopes, there's amazing, intricate detail in that nebula. It's an absolutely beautiful nebula, and lots of baby stars are being made in that part of Orion. That is one of the reasons why that is one of my favorite constellations. So many cool things happening. So that's the latest and greatest when it comes to space, but it's time to have conversation.
So let me get this straight. Babies are being born beneath the belt of Orion.
Yeah.
And he's going to have a really hot armpit in the next billion years.
Yeah.
All right.
Well. Like I said, today is a very special edition of Space Radio. We're not taking calls today, but in lieu of calls, I did not second best, but maybe 4th or 5th best. I brought my good friend, Mr. Michael Solomon. Michael Solomon is the voice of the COSI Planetarium and an all-around good speaker. Say hello to everyone, Mr. Solomon.
Hello, fans of Paul Sutter in space. I'm here to talk about space, whatever Paul wants to talk about.
Whatever I want to talk about, because this is my show. We've established.
It is. He had to force me into saying that, actually.
Yes, it's in the script. I say, if you want to come on, you have to acknowledge that this is my show, because maybe he wants to take the show over.
There's a chance.
There's a small chance.
We're going to do a... We're going to poll the people listening and see who they'd like to continue doing the show after this.
We are not going to do that.
All right.
We are not going to do that because I don't want to know what people want. I don't want to know what people want because they'll obviously want you.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So we're just gonna not do that.
All right. What should we talk about today?
What I invited you to come up with like 2 or 3 random topics. I have no idea. In the spirit of Space Radio, I have no idea what's gonna happen.
Sure.
But you're just gonna toss stuff at me, and we're gonna go from there. We're gonna
full disclosure,
and this will be great radio.
I am a film student from Ohio State University.
Go Bucks.
Yeah, go Bucks. And so I have a passion for film, particularly science fiction movies I like a lot. And I thought you'd be the perfect person to ask about some science fiction things that people often wonder about.
Is it because I'm smart?
No, it's just because you're the science guy.
Oh, I'm not the science. That's someone else. Science guy is someone else.
You're the agent to the stars.
I'm the agent to the stars.
That's right.
Doesn't that sound way cooler?
Yeah, it really does. Yes, it's cooler than a bow tie.
A lot of things are cooler than a bow tie.
So my first question.
Let's do it.
Star Wars, 1977.
Oh, like the original, not the remake.
The original, A New Hope. They talk a lot about traveling faster than the speed of light. They call it hyperspace, traveling through hyperspace. And this is repeated throughout lots of science fiction movies. We see, let's go into hyperdrive, and then they zoom off through the stars, and they end up somewhere else.
Ludicrous speed.
Ludicrous speed.
They've gone plaid. This is the movie. Oh, that's Spaceballs. That's a different movie.
Equally fascinating movie.
Equally iconic.
I love it. I love it. Shout out to Ronald Solomon, a big fan of Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Tell me, can we travel faster than the speed of light, and why not?
Can we travel faster than the speed of light? Why or why not? Yes and no.
All right.
So in special relativity, which is where we get these conventions of the speed of light is the ultimate speed limit, constant speed, blah, 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 blah. You will never, ever, 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 ever accelerate to go faster than the speed of light. And you will never, ever, ever encounter something whizzing by you, like a rocket ship blasting by you, you will never measure its speed going faster than the speed of light.
Right, that's what I'm told. Nothing can move faster than the
Nothing
speed of
can
light.
move faster than the speed of light.
Yeah.
But, here's the but. The word speed is actually a technical jargon word in physics. It doesn't necessarily have the connotations that we normally associate with the word. Speed is something that you can only measure locally. Speed is only something you can measure nearby.
It's relative.
It's relative, yes, and it's also nearby. You have to make a local measurement of speed. If, say, there's a galaxy on the far side of the universe,
All right.
way far away,
Yes.
it can have whatever speed it wants. We can measure whatever speed it wants. In fact, we do see galaxies expanding away from us. Due to the expansion of the universe, we see galaxies receding away from us faster than the speed of light.
Really?
Yeah, because they're super far away. And special relativity is a local law of physics. It's a law of local physics. It doesn't say anything about galaxies on the far side of the universe. They can have whatever speed they want. If galaxy were up close and whizzing by the Milky Way galaxy, we would never see it to move faster than the speed of light. The other but that goes in there is when you extend from special relativity to general relativity. General relativity is relativity applied to gravity. This is how our modern understanding of gravity. And there are potentially ways of manipulating space-time so that you can never locally go faster than the speed of light, but you can get to a destination faster than a beam of light could. It's possible, like through a wormhole or a warp drive. You can, in principle, except whenever you work out the details of how like a wormhole or warp drive would actually work, it's not allowed by like any other law of physics.
So it sounds like you're leaving yourself a window for when this happens in the future. You can go back and say, see, I said it was possible.
Actually, I'm putting my foot down. I'm putting my foot down. Warp drives, wormholes are not allowed in this universe. I'm calling it. Because it's a loophole of general relativity that lets you build these constructs, but all the other laws of physics that we know very well and have tested extremely well say no. Let's keep talking about this more after the break.
All right.
I am Paul Sutter, and you are Michael Solomon.
It's true.
Who is not Paul Sutter, but that's all right. You're
close.
Almost as entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Very approximation. And this is Space Radio. This show is brought to you by you. Visit patreon.com/PMSutter to learn how you can support this show. Your support is vital, by the way, and I will see you after the break. These segments go by super fast.
Should I say welcome back?
I want you to say that.
Welcome back to Space Radio.
No. That was Michael Solomon. I am Paul Sutter, and this is my show, Space Radio. And you are welcome back. That is true. But I'm Paul Sutter. This is Space Radio. I've got Michael Solomon here in studio with me for a very special episode. You can call. We record every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Call 888-581-0708 to join the show. Also, check out the live streams on Facebook and YouTube at spaceradioshow.com. Now, before the break, we were talking about warp drives.
Yeah.
We were talking about going faster than the speed of light. We were talking about wormholes.
It's a nice
all that
segue.
good stuff. A nice segue.
To the next question I had, which was about Interstellar, a popular film, a recent film.
Oh, yeah.
In which they used a wormhole to travel from one end of the universe to the other. They have this idea of the universe being bent over on itself and the hole going through to the other side. Talk to me about this. Are wormholes a real thing? Because when I looked into this, there seems to be a lot of conversation online that allows for wormholes to actually exist.
Let me get this straight. Your method of research to determine if something is legit or not, it's to look at forums and chat rooms, to look at the conversation.
That's right. Even better, I like to just study the inside of men's room, bathroom stalls.
I don't want to know what you
Decipher.
learn from the inside of men's bathroom walls.
No, that's pre-internet style research.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see. Before
Now we just
Reddit.
Google things.
Yeah,
so
we
I
just Google.
Googled, and
Wormhole.
Google said there's lots of people talking about wormholes and the science behind Interstellar. Like they're saying, so Interstellar is obviously science fiction, but here's the science. And then they talk about wormholes as if that's science.
Yeah, so the number one science advisor on the film Interstellar was Kip Thorne.
Right.
Kip Thorne recently won the Nobel Prize.
I saw that.
For his work on gravitational waves. Super cool guy, great friend of mine, and I say that on the basis of meeting him twice.
So a friend like I'm a friend.
Yeah,
Like
basically.
Talked
I talked to him a couple
That's
times.
right.
He probably doesn't even remember me.
It's an honor.
But like he's a good friend of mine for the purposes of radio.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, friend of mine as well.
No, he's not. He's my friend.
I've seen him in a video.
This is my show, and Kip Thorne is my friend.
Okay, so what did Kip Thorne say?
So Kip Thorne was a science advisor, and he wrote a book on the science of Interstellar. And yes, he is an expert in general relativity, Einstein's theory of gravity. Absolute genius. Super smart guy. Almost super fun guy.
And
too.
he believes in wormholes.
So it's not science is about belief. Science is about what is allowed based on the evidence. And in the mathematics of general relativity, the mathematics of general relativity permit the existence of a wormhole, a shortcut through space-time, so you can go somewhere really, really far away without having to travel a long distance.
Okay.
It's allowed. But, that's the big but here, is that when you try to construct a wormhole, when you work through the mathematics of how do you actually construct a wormhole, it requires a material that has negative mass.
Okay.
Dead silence.
Yeah.
Negative mass. Imagine mass that's negative.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense because it doesn't
It's
exist.
the absence of something like a hole.
Even less than that.
Right.
It's negative, right? There's less than nothing.
I can't imagine it.
It doesn't exist in our universe.
I see.
There's nothing with negative mass that we see observationally. So until you can crack that whole negative mass thing, you can't construct a wormhole in general relativity.
Okay.
Maybe some way, because we don't understand the connection between quantum mechanics and general relativity.
Yeah.
Maybe somewhere in like string theory or some one of those super far out hypothetical models of how things work, there's some way to construct a wormhole. But I'm willing to bet that wormholes are not allowed in our universe. Kip Thorne knows this because he's smarter than I am.
Yeah.
Definitely smarter than you are.
I agree.
And he knows this, and he knows that general relativity says wormholes can exist, but it's ruled out by other things in physics that we know very well and have tested very well. But they're making a movie.
So while we're talking about the science of Interstellar,
which we are,
I'm curious about Gargantuan, this black hole.
Oh, the giant black hole,
which has planets that orbit it. Do we witness this in space, that black holes have their own solar systems?
We haven't observed this like in an actual system of planets orbiting a black hole, but things do orbit black holes
because they're falling into them.
Not as you could check this out. You could replace the sun.
Excuse me, I'm working on my way.
This is Space Radio, and I'm Paul Sutter.
I don't understand.
Check this out. Take the sun. Replace it with a black hole of the exact same mass. All right?
Okay. Yeah.
The solar system behaves exactly the same.
This is what I'm picturing. Like a black hole is this massive thing like a star. So it's got
It has
gravity enough to attract objects to orbit it.
But just like the sun has a lot of gravity to attract things. So yes, objects can orbit a black hole. In fact, we do see binary systems where one thing is the black hole and another thing is the star, and they're orbiting around each other. We see the supermassive black hole in the center of the Milky Way galaxy. We have a name for it, Sagittarius A star.
Oh.
We actually see other stars orbiting very, very close to this supermassive black hole. Things can orbit supermassive black holes because they're just sources of gravity like anything else.
They're like negative stars.
They're like stars that are not emitting light.
Right. That's
Blank
how I imagine.
stars. Like, not negative. I won't go negative. It's not negative mass.
Not negative mass.
It would be like zero stars.
They're like the other side of a star coin.
Like the upside down star.
Thank
Yeah.
you for bringing
Pop
it to the
cultural
Stranger
reference.
Things thing.
Pop
I just
culture
finished
reference.
Stranger Things 2.
Same here.
Loved it.
Yeah, it was really solid.
Yeah, it's good. So I have one more question for you before we get out of here.
All right, let's do it. We got a little bit of time.
I want to get away from this conversation of black holes.
You want to
and
get away
speed
from
of
this
light.
entire conversation.
Yeah, I'm curious about. There's a film Elysium, 2013. It's the one I always think of when I think of off-world.
Matt
living.
Damon was in this, right?
Matt Damon was in it. They created sort of an off-world space station where
like a utopia.
where rich people have gone to live and left Earth for us underlings
Sounds
to
great.
destroy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So my question is there sort of a secret or not so secret plan to build these off-world space stations where rich people can go and leave Earth behind, and they can hunt whatever wild game they raise there and so
because
on?
they put wild game on the space
You
station.
assume so.
I guess.
That's what they like to do, right?
So they can go
I
falconing.
thought rich people just want to go shoot big animals
Or, yeah, that's exactly what rich people do.
and eat pheasant under
You know,
glass
if you're a
or
rich
whatever.
person and you're considering contributing, patreon.com/PMSutter to support the show, I will take back everything that Michael Solomon said.
No, I'm not a classist. I wish I was rich and I
Yeah.
could partake in big game hunting, but I'm not. So here I am.
So
with
you have to sell for small game hunting.
That's all right.
'Cause that's all your
Seriously,
budget. Yeah.
You know, because we got moon stations, Mars colonies. This is a conversation in the zeitgeist. And
You know, something that's really cool that's coming online is Bigelow Aerospace. Bigelow Aerospace is developing inflatable space
I've
habitats.
seen these.
Yeah, and it's like made out of canvas. It's like nothing special, but they're super strong. They're as strong as like any of our capsules that we use for actual space station stuff.
It's
but
like
they're
a space tent.
a space tent, exactly. And they're small, they're portable, they're lightweight. And the plan of Bigelow Aerospace is to make us orbiting hotel. You know, it's not going to be like the Ritz-Carlton or anything.
But a space station that people can fly up to and stay.
And visit for a while and then safely come back to Earth. And that's in the works. Like there's a module attached to the space station right now that's inflated. And they're working, like they're
Right.
testing, they're playing around. And so there are plans and they're not secret at all. The big game hunting thing, I'm not sure about that. Maybe there are secret plans that I'm not privy
But
to.
Virgin Galactic, I know they're already claiming to sell tickets to the moon.
Yeah, I mean, Richard Branson's company, Virgin Galactic, wanting to give tourists like access to suborbital flights or even to the moon. Unfortunately, their last test flight burned, like it blew up and killed the two pilots. So I think that's incredibly unfortunate, and that put their plans kind of. I heard people got nervous about buying tickets
I
for
see
that.
how that could happen.
Yeah, thank you. Great set of questions, Michael. We're almost out of time today on Space Radio, but before we go, it's time for the Blue Shift.
Ooh, I like the sound of it.
Everyone does. I'm Paul Sutter, and you're listening to Space Radio, and this is the Blue Shift. This is my chance to get a little bit closer to you. And today, I have a surprise for you, Mr. Solomon.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we're going to play a game of who would win.
Okay.
Who would win? So I'm going to name two planets, and we're going to try to decide who would win in a fight
I like it.
using whatever criteria. So number one, here we go.
I'm
Who
game.
would win, Jupiter or Saturn? The two largest planets in the solar system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I always think of Jupiter and Saturn as being one of the same. They're big gas giants. They're way out there. It's pretty cold out there.
Yes.
So they're survivors. You know, Saturn's sort of the showy planet with its
rings,
rings. Everybody loves Saturn. Jupiter's just kind of much bigger.
Yeah, way
And
bigger.
so, you know, if they were going to fight, I always go with the big guy in the fight. But I feel like Saturn's ring is like a razor because it's
Saturn's
so
got the
thin.
reach.
Right.
Yeah.
It gets, you know, have you ever watched BattleBots?
Oh,
The
it's like
with
one of the
spinning,
spinning
He
ones.
gets to Jupiter before Jupiter can do anything, and he
Yeah.
cuts it open.
So like Jupiter's going to drop the hammer, but then Saturn gets in with the rings and slices it.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I'm giving it to Saturn.
Giving to Saturn. All right, you know what? I'm going to agree with you. I'll
right.
take it. Okay. Number two, who would win? The moon or Europa?
Oh. Well, I've got to go with Europa because Europa has a liquid water ocean.
That is true.
And so it could potentially have some alien life forms.
Space whales.
Living in that ocean. You know, it's much more interesting than our dead rock of a moon. So on sheer interesting factor, Europa wins. Not to mention it could have a whole horde of aliens living under the water that could come out and battle with the moon.
So you're wrong. The answer is the moon
Oh.
because Europa is not made out of cheese. I can't eat Europa.
Right.
Yeah.
But all the people with lactose intolerance are going to
Well, if it's an aged cheese, like a nice, good,
Ooh.
sharp cheddar.
And I imagine it is about 4.5 billion year old
Yeah, being in the
cheese.
coldest space, you know, the absolute vacuum. That's how it works.
Delicious. Okay.
Oh, okay, one more.
I'm with you.
Mercury or Pluto?
I think that Mercury is a much more interesting planet
Okay.
It takes a constant beating.
All the time. Being up close to the sun.
Pluto's not even a planet. It's a trick question.
Pluto is a planet.
Pluto is just a cold rock out there. And, Mercury is weathered. It's battle worn.
It's grizzled.
Yeah, exactly. Some might say.
Some might say grizzled.
And so that's where I go. I think Mercury's been in the fight, and Pluto's just on the outskirts, just watching.
Just gave up. Just gave up. There you go. Okay, you know what? That's fair. That's fair. I don't necessarily agree with you, but I'll allow it.
I'm used to that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's tons of fun.
It's been a pleasure. Let's do it again.
Let's not do it again for a long, long time. Otherwise, people might get ideas.
Maybe next Thanksgiving.
No. Oh, yeah, next Thanksgiving. There we go. We'll make it an annual family tradition.
I like it. You bring the turkey.
Yeah. You bring this stuffing
Cranberry
and mashed
sauce?
potatoes. Yeah. Everything else.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this broadcast is almost done. Thank you for joining me on this voyage of space radio, and thank you for Mr. Michael Solomon for joining me. I'm Paul Sutter, and this show is brought to you by the Ohio State University Department of Astronomy. Learn more at astronomy.osu.edu. And this show is also brought to you by you. Visit patreon.com/pmsutter to learn how you can contribute. Thanks to Greg Moebius for producing, Dan Michalko for being awesome, and all the fine crew at WCBE Radio for making this show possible. We record every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Call 888-581-0708 to join me on the air. You can also catch the Facebook and YouTube live streams. You can catch Mr. Solomon in the COSI Planetarium.
That's true.
During one of those shows.
And we do shows together in the planetarium.
That's right, we do. And I announce them on the show.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's all good.
Come out
Everyone
and see
knows.
us if you like this dynamic.
Yeah, and if you don't, buy a ticket anyway and then don't show up.
Yeah, because the planetarium's a real star.
Yeah, And of course, thanks again, Earthlings, for listening. See you next week. End of transmission.
Peace, love, and space.
You just had to get that ending in, didn't you?